Thank you very much for keeping it to Morning at 10 TV. For those that are just joining us, we are in the business update segment. We shall be looking at the role of credit reference bureaus in Uganda and using credit history as collateral. Now, many of us, when seeking loans or any money disbursement from an institution or even an individual for that matter, could be a money lender, people ask for collateral. Do you have something that we can hold on to in case you are unable to pay the money? And many can ask for as modest as a laptop, sometimes it's a logbook, and if it is the big financial institutions, there's a whole lot of history in terms of bookkeeping for your company that you should be able to offer. Now, credit reference bureau services in the country have not been very much entrenched, and it's until about 15 years ago that the credit reference bureau services were ushered into the country to allow for data to be compiled for customers that banks and other financial institutions can use. Now, the private sector is up and entering this particular space, including Gnugrid, that ensures that all the data that is out there on people who might be seeking loan services can be gotten. I have with me an official from Gnugrid CRB, Chief Customer Care Officer Mercy Lakisa. She'll be giving us perspective on some of these issues. A very warm welcome to the program, Ms. Lakisa.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
Grace. Thank you. I'm well, thank you.
All right. Now, the economy is slowing, and we see a lot of people taking up credit, which essentially are loans from different financial institutions. And when people take on these loans, they are required to offer information. Yeah. Gnugrid offers this information to financial institutions that could be seeking to give loans to these customers, right?
Yes.
What is the breadth of information on Ugandans that you have?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. Gnugrid CRB is an indigenous company. It's the first indigenous CRB in Uganda. And something that we're doing is making sure that a CRB really just collects information. First of all, it's licensed by Bank of Uganda, and that was done for us in 2021. And what we are trying to focus on is collecting data of credit data of different borrowers. Is it an individual or a non-individual? That information is what we collect, and we make sure that we collect it into a meaningful report, which is called a credit report. So the different, let's say, personas or the different people that we are looking at are the last mile. We are passionate about the last mile, being that we started from the solar company. As a solar company, we got that information. We realized that solar companies have been lending, asset lending to different people. Okay. So we collected that information and had it already in our database and said, oh, why don't we get become a licensed CRB to share this information so that different credit providers can tap into the database of of the last mile, which is tier 4 basically. That will be circles, VSLAs, and then the different credit providers. What are these
VSLAs?
Those are village saving groups.
Village saving groups.
Yes.
That explains the choice of word. The last mile is basically the people at the grassroots.
Yes, please.
In my village in Butaleja.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yes, so we are looking at the last mile and making sure that in as much as you are down there in the village and I want to borrow a loan, we collect information from the different sources. That will mean that it would be a carbon owner, it could be a money lender somewhere on the street of Kampala. But then we are also encouraging that the different people are able, or different categories of people, credit providers give accessing our credit data, are also sharing data. As passed by Bank of Uganda, they sent a circular that says that we as CRBs are authorized, we are allowed to get this information from the different alternative data sources, and that means that they have to be accredited. So you come to us as a CRB, Gnugrid CRB, and you tell us that, you know what, I am getting information from this person because, this group of people, because I'm lending them maybe maybe cars or something like that, and then we put it into feed it into our database, and then you can also access it. Then it gives us a rich credit report and also a rich credit database for the different people that we have. Yes. Essentially,
your services, let me bring it down to the language my cobbler understands and is most comfortable with. If they have previously borrowed from Post Bank or Stanbic Bank or any other bank, and then here they are wanting another set or ramp of loans from any other institution, see, Gnugrid CRB has access to data from their previous loan portfolios that it offers to the latest lender in order to make a decision whether they should give money or not.
Yes, you bring a good point mentioning the word making a decision. So as a Gnugrid CRB, we collect this information to make sure that we provide it back to you. So you as a credit provider, you give us your information, we put it into our database and make sure that we create it into a meaningful report, which is a credit report. So it helps you to make an informed decision. So if someone came and borrowed from you, let's say from a different branch, and then they come back and borrow, and probably they want to kind of multiple borrow, I'm looking at the fact that we have to stop.
Unlawful?
It's unlawful because if I'm multiple borrowing, what are my sources? How am I able to pay? I might be borrowing to pay back. You see, like MTN, what is it? MTN
quick loans.
Yes, the quick loans, Airtel quick loan. You find that I will borrow probably from MTN to pay back the one of Airtel, so that I can get some money back. So it becomes multiple borrowing, and what we're trying to do is avoid multiple borrowing. So we encourage all different credit providers to come and enlist with us and become accredited, so that they're able to have this visibility. Because if I am borrowing today here and borrowing there tomorrow, like you said, Post Bank, I might go to Absa Bank or another bank and borrow from there, and if you do not have the access to the CRB, I might have borrowed even in another circle. So we are looking at the circle space that hasn't been fully tapped and say, why don't we dive deeper into tier 4, where the different people are running from the commercial banks running to the circle in their villages. If that fails,
you run to quick loans on MTN and Airtel.
But if everyone decides that, okay, this is something that we need to onboard and be a part of, our data as Uganda becomes rich, and then the people become more responsible. I'm thinking that part of the reason why I would want people to, Bank of Uganda would want people to look at being enlisted on credit facilities is so that everyone is responsible. As a citizen, I have borrowed. Yes, I'm a good borrower. I make sure that if this other circle has my information, they will share it with another person and make sure that I am responsible enough to pay back, responsible enough to make sure that my information is clean.
All right. Yes. That means a positive or good credit history is sufficient collateral.
Yes. I will beg to differ on the word sufficient collateral. I don't want to be put on the spot.
All right.
It will be used against you.
Absolutely.
But as you said, it's supposed to be sufficient.
It helps make a decision.
Yes. In different places, reasons why we are looking at our collateral being, our credit report being clean, is because it has a history of who you are. If I have borrowed and paid on time, it has a history of who you are. So that history is a testimony of who you are in your credit habits, but then it becomes a reputation that you have built over time. Right. So if you've built a positive history about yourself or testimony, then that can be used as reputational collateral.
Reputational
collateral. Yes, that's the term that we use in the at Gnugrid CRB, and that means that even when you go out and try to borrow a loan, and they check in our system and they get your credit report, they're able to see that you have this good habit of borrowing and paying on time. You do not have bounce checks, and our credit report has bounce checks. It has various credit information that has been featured on it. So if you you're clean, you have a clean portfolio. As an individual, it's important that you monitor it because it has a clean portfolio, but also to know that the banks or the credit providers that you access are providing the right information, the articulate information. And in case there is information that is not articulated, maybe something is wrong, erroneously submitted to the bank, what happens is, as Gnugrid, I deal with disputes. My team deals with the disputes as customer care. So we encourage the different clients to get back to us and make sure that they report the discrepancies on their reports so that we can iron it out. So it could have happened that maybe the bank, your credit provider, submitted wrong information to us. So for us, our work is to investigate in our system, make sure that information was submitted and who submitted that, then we get back to them and tell them, you know what, this was disputed.
That particular aspect attends to the correctness of data.
Yes.
How about data safety? Quickly.
Okay, data safety. So,
for example, if you're able to access data from different players on an individual, and you basically amalgamate it into another new portal, that is something that again offers new challenges, and data safety in this day and age is pretty much very important. What are the safeguards in the case of Gnugrid CRB?
Okay, I'll just speak a bit about it.
Quickly.
Yes. So what we have done so far, making sure that the data is safe. Bank of Uganda, first of all, regulates and supervises us. So it makes sure that we follow the compliance. We are compliant with the Bank of Uganda regulations on data privacy and protection of the different clients. But two, we also have authentication, making sure that we have two-factor authentication for the right person to access that information. Then also our IT infrastructure has been put in place that it has the relevant parameters, and the security is really up to date so that nothing falls through the cracks.
All right. Mercy Lakisa, Chief Customer Care Officer at Gnugrid Credit Reference Bureau. Many thanks for that perspective on everything around credit and reputational collateral. That's a new word that you should pay attention to. Now let's go to my man, Stephen Mbide, who is standing by. He's at Chambogo University, where the discussion or the impetus of what we are going to be hearing concerns transparency within the National Resistance Movement as a party, but also the dishing of a medal. Let me go to Stephen Mbide. A very good morning, Stephen.
Of celebration for those who remember